Thank you for taking the time to join this session today. Today's conversation is not about reacting to headline. It's about trend or social media narratives. It's about something structural, something quietly unfolding inside organizations. And I believe if you don't examine a structural shift early, we end up reacting to consequences later. As always, I encourage you to stay engaged during this session and share your thoughts in the comment. If something resonates, say no, say so. If you disagree, even better. Leadership conversations should never be one direction. So let me begin. There is a subtle but significant shift happening across industries. If you observe hiring trend, restructuring, announcements, AI development, and cost optimization strategies, you will notice something consistent. The middle layer of organization is thinning, not dramatically, not emotionally, but steadily. This is not about competence. It is not about mid level managers suddenly unperforming. It's about the environment changing faster than the role definition did. Historically, mid level managers were essentially connectors. They translated a strategy into operational tasks, they filtered information upward, they supervised execution downward, they ensure coordination between departments. They exited because information was scarce and communication was slow. Today, information is abundant, communication is instant, and oversight is automated. Dashboards shows real-time performance. Workflow platform track tasks automatically. AI-generated reports summarizes, forecasts, and even decision suggestions. So, quite economic question emerges inside the education decisions. What exactly is the middle layer optimizing now? If a role is heavily built around monitoring, reporting, relaying information, technology now performs much of that function faster and more consistently. This doesn't makes management absolute. It makes transactional management vulnerable. And when pressure rise, which it inevitably does, layers that appears replaceable and evaluated first. Uh, but here is where the real risk begins. When organizations remove structural layers without redesigning accountability and capabilities, pressure doesn't disappear, it reallocate. So senior leaders get pulled into operational details, junior employee lose a structured coaching, and decision may accelerate but alignment weaken. Misalignment rarely exposed immediately, it accumulates with the time. There is also a behavior shift occurring. Modern tools allows executives to communicate directly with contributors. This feel efficient and empowering. It's reduce reliance on intermediaries. But when bypass becomes habit, a structure erodes. Organizations are system, energy responsibilities, and decision move through definition pathway. Remove too many connectors and flow becomes unstable rather than efficient. At the same time, management itself is splitting into two distinct categories. So what are these two? First is control-based management, supervision, attendance tracking, routine approvals is increasingly automated. And the second one is multiplier based leadership, coaching, conflict resolution, cross functional integration, talent development is becoming more valuable. The change is many. The change is many companies are reducing the first. The challenge is many companies are reducing the first without intentionally strengthening the second. Lean organization look efficient in a stable condition. Under stress, resilience depends on experienced integrators. Another long-term consequences really rarely discussed in success. Mid-level roles have historically been leadership training ground. If the layers thins aggressively without redesigning development pathways, the future executive pipeline weakens. The real question is not whether mid level managers are becoming irrelevant. The real question is whether the organization are intelligently redefining value or simply reacting to short term cost pressure. The middle is not dying. The old definition of it is, and in every technological transition, value survives, roles do not. So before closing, I wanted to shift the format slightly in different pattern. Instead of continuing in one direction, I will raise some of the questions that leaders are either asking privately or avoiding entirely. I will share my perspective on each, and I invite you to reflect on how this applies to your organization. So first question, which is coming in my mind as of now. So are mid level managers truly becoming irrelevant, or are their roles evolving? They are evolving. My answer is they are evolving, and the monitoring heavy version of management is shrinking. What remains essential is leadership that multiplies capabilities. The future belongs to managers who develop people, not just supervise tasks. The second question, which I can remember, how has AI reduced the need of traditional oversight? AI automates tracking, reporting, anomaly detection, summarization. Many oversight functions no longer requires manual supervision. The value shift from tracking to interpreting and coaching. So third question, which I can say here, does flattening always improve performance? No, not automatically. Flattening removes delay, but it can also remove a structure accountability. Efficiency increases only when responsibility is redesigned, not simply removed. Then another question, what risk arise when middle shrinks too quickly? Overload at the top, confusion at the bottom, cultural drift, and decision acceleration without alignment. These risks compounds quietly. So what I mean to say, so overload at the top, confusion at the bottom, cultural drift will increase, and decision acceleration without alignment will happen, and then the risk compounds quietly. Is direct Another question, is direct communication between executives and contributors a positive shift? It can be if it enhances transparency. It becomes risky when it replaces a structural responsibility rather than complementing it. Another question, which I can say, what type of manager will survive this shift? Those who coach, integrate team, develop talent, strengthen judgment will survive. Managers who increase others' performance will remain indispensable. So, three things: integrate team, develop talent, or strength judgment. And at the last, coach. If the manager have these capabilities, definitely they will survive. Why the mid-level roles often targeted in cost reduction? Because the answer is simple: because they appear measurable and replaceable. But eliminating cost without redefining value often creates greater inefficiency later. What happens to leadership pipeline if this layer thins? Success risk increase. Succession risk is increased. Mid-level management has historically prepared future executives. Without development layer, long-term leadership capabilities weakens. So these are some questions which I remember as of now. But if you have something, then definitely I like to hear those. In this conversation resonates with if this conversation resonates with you, I encourage you to reflect on one thing tonight. Are you redesigning your organization intentionally or reacting to pressure? A structural shift don't announce themselves loudly, they compound quietly. If you found this discussion valuable, share it with someone in the leadership who should think about this. Comment with your perspective, agreement or disagreement, and follow for upcoming conversation on a structural leadership shift. Tomorrow, we will continue exploring how organizational architecture is evolving because these shifts are interconnected. Organization does not weaken suddenly, they weaken structurally over time. The leadership who recognize structural change early shape the future instead of reacting on it. Thank you for your time. I look forward to continue with this conversation with you tomorrow. Till then, good night.